Intamin, we all know them. They are one of the biggest names in the amusement ride industry. They're always coming out with awesome new concepts, and they've created some of the absolute best roller coasters on the planet. Some of these include Millennium Force, Kingda, Thrill Dragster, Maverick, Superman the Ride, Xcelorator, Hyperion, Taiga, Stormrunner, Expedition GeForce, and so many others. The list goes on and on, but today I'm going to be counting down the 10 best Intamin coasters I've been on. Intamin has made 6 of my top 10 coasters, and still has 4 other coasters that sit in my top 25. Enough talking though, let's just get right into the countdown. First of all, I want to give an honorable mention to Wicked Twister at Cedar Point. To be honest, I didn't like this coaster a whole lot. I thought it was rough and the spikes were kind of lacking in force. The thing is, I rode it when I was 11, I only got 2 rides on it, and I had much less of a tolerance for rough rides than I do now. People said that the backwards spike was amazing, but to be honest, I don't really remember it very well. I do wish I gave it a few more rides, but now that it's gone, I'm honestly just happy that I got to ride it while it was at the park. Moving on to the actual list, number 10 is Possessed at Dorney Park. Wicked Twister may have been bigger and faster, but I honestly prefer Possessed. The main reason is that while Wicked Twister was pretty shaky, Possessed is butter smooth, which really allows you to enjoy the launches and the spikes at their full potential. The other reason I have Possessed put ahead of Wicked Twister is the backward spike. As you probably know, both of Wicked Twister's spikes are twisted, but on Possessed only the forward spike is twisted, and the back one is straight. This allows for some incredible weightlessness in the back row when you're coming down that spike. Number 9 is Flying Aces at Ferrari World. I have a similar case with Flying Aces as I do with Wicked Twister. I rode it when I was 11, and I honestly don't remember a whole lot. The difference with Flying Aces is that I only remember it being amazing. I thought the non-inverted loop was by far the best part. If you're fortunate enough to get assigned the back row, you get absolutely whipped down the drop and the non-inverting loop. All the airtime hills delivered mild to strong ejector airtime, and the Heartline roll at the very end of the ride was super floaty and fun. It's just an overall great layout that I wish wasn't so far away from home. Also, it has my all-time favorite queue line of any coaster. I'm usually not crazy for theming, but Flying Aces has by far the most themed queue line I've ever been in. Staying at Ferrari World, number 8 is Formularosa. I had kind of a hard time choosing which one of these coasters I liked more. Flying Aces certainly delivers with its strong airtime, intensity, and laterals, and Formularosa packs in one of the world's best launches. When it comes down to it, Formularosa's launch is second to almost none, and Flying Aces' airtime is matched, if not exceeded, by a few coasters on this list. While Formularosa's layout isn't very eventful after the launch, it does provide some decent positives, a couple good airtime moments, and an incredible feeling of speed, even with the trims directly after the launch. I also thought the snap into the first turn delivered some great laterals and airtime. All that aside, the star of this ride is without a doubt the launch. I love how it features 2 bursts, the first kick and then the second one about halfway down the launch track, which really gets you accelerating up to that incredible top speed of 149 miles an hour. Number 7 is a coaster that just recently fell out of my top 10, and that is Millennium Force at Cedar Point. Despite what the name might tell you, this actually isn't a super forceful coaster, but it does make up for it by providing one of the most fun layouts I've ever been on. A front row ride on this coaster isn't really too much like anything else out there. It's honestly incredible how fast and graceful this coaster is, and it dominates the entire west side of Cedar Point. Its menacing structure towers over Frontier Trail, and you can see it from anywhere in the park. That's not to say it doesn't pull any force though. I thought the drop in the back row had some great sustained floater airtime, and the first large camelback also provides some really nice airtime in the back. I also grayed out on the third overbank. So yeah, this coaster does provide some decent force and a nice layout, it just doesn't quite crack my top 10. Between the vertical lift hill, the beyond vertical drop, and the super compact layout, number 6 is probably the most unique coaster on this list, and that is Fahrenheit at Hershey Park. This coaster really exceeded my expectations with its crazy intensity and shockingly strong airtime. It may not have the longest layout, and it may have a crazy rattle in areas like the Cobra Roll, but it more than makes up for it. The drop feels like Maverick's drop, but it's longer and a little bit more sustained. The airtime hill at the end of the ride also has some pure, intimate ejector. And when Fahrenheit isn't sending you out of your seat, it is constantly crushing you with positive G's, like in the Cobra Roll, the Valley in the Norwegian Loop, and the final turns at the end of the ride. It's really a great example of how much of a punch Intamin can put into a layout with a short track length and a small footprint. Number 5 is a coaster that broke the height and speed records when it opened in 2003. That is obviously Top Thrill Dragster at Cedar Point. Sure, the top hat is cool, but the real star of the coaster is that launch. Launching down Top Thrill Dragster's launch track isn't really something that I can put into words. It's just something that you have to go out and experience yourself. I guess the best way I could describe it is it's like flying, but you just keep getting faster and faster and faster. Like I said before, Intamin hydraulic launches are some of the absolute best launches you can find on any roller coaster, and Top Thrill Dragster's launch is no exception. Number 4 is yet another hydraulic launch coaster, and that is Stormrunner at Hershey Park. Of the 4 Intamin Xcelorator coasters that I've been on, Stormrunner has by far the weakest launch of all of them. I heard it wasn't always like this, but if I'm being honest, it doesn't really matter to me, since instead of ending right after the top hat, it has an actual layout that even features 3 inversions, including an Immelman and a flying snake dive, which might be my favorite inversion on any coaster, with its absolutely insane whip and laterals in the back row. The ride also has 2 standout airtime moments, the first of which being the drop off the top hat, which is honestly great all throughout the train, but especially powerful in the back row. The second airtime moment that really stands out is the pop of ejector you get into the flying snake dive. This doesn't have any airtime in the back, but in the front it has an insane pop of ejector, which feels kind of like the third hill on Superman the Ride. Number 3 is the third hydraulic launch coaster in a row on this list, and that is Kingda at Six Flags Great Adventure. I've gone over the Kingda and Top Thrill Dragster argument enough times on my channel, so I'll just link my video about it in the card in the top right corner. Anyways, yeah, if you've watched my channel for a long enough time, you know that I prefer Kingda to Top Thrill Dragster. I think the launch feels more intense and out of control, I think the theme is better, and I think that the roughness of the ride really adds to the experience, making it seem much more out of control and intense. Also, Kingda is a coaster that I've obsessed over since I was in 1st grade. I even remember writing a letter to Great Adventure as a little kid about how amazing Kingda looked and how cool I thought it was. All these years later, and Kingda is still one of my favorite things, so while Top Thrill Dragster is great, Kingda will always be the coaster that I prefer. Coming in at number 2 is possibly my all-time favorite roller coaster, Superman the Ride at Six Flags New England. Superman is a coaster that to me never gets old. In fact, the more times I ride it, the more and more I love it. I honestly can't get enough of its long layout, its amazing airtime, and its great pacing. There's something so special about climbing that 208-foot tall lift hill, hearing the Superman theme song, and cresting over that drop. Maybe I'm just biased since the coaster's at my home park, but I really do think that it's underrated. People immediately complain about the restraints, but I really don't mind them at all. In fact, I like them quite a bit. They allow you to get a lot of room for airtime if you know how to work with them, and as long as you keep them up throughout the valleys, you'll be sure to experience all of this ride's incredible airtime. Now, if you guys know me, then you probably saw this coming. The number 1 Intamin coaster that I've been on also happens to be my number 1 roller coaster overall, and that is Maverick at Cedar Point. To put it simply, Maverick has every quality I look for in a roller coaster and more. It's filled with intensity, great airtime, snappy transitions, and it's a smooth ride with great restraints. Yeah, I said it, great restraints. I really like the Intamin vests. I don't find them restricting at all, and they allow for a lot of airtime. Back to Maverick though, like Superman the Ride, it's just a coaster that I can't get enough of. It has been a few years since I last rode it, but I remember all of the elements very clearly, the best of which being the drop, the first airtime hill, the second launch, the stangle dives, and the last airtime hill. Honestly though, it's not even fair for me to pick out my favorite elements in Maverick's layout because all of them are truly amazing, and I really do think that it is some of Werner Stengel and Intamin's finest work. The coaster is truly a powerhouse that never really lets up all the way until the very end. So that was my list of the 10 best Intamin coasters that I've been on. Let me know in the comments if you agree with the list or if you think I missed any coasters. El Toro. Oh, sorry, I just had to cough there. Also, since you've made it this far in the video, you might as well leave a like, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, since both of those things would be greatly appreciated. Also, if you want to join the 07 Coasters Discord server, that will be linked down below. Anyways, this is 07 Coasters, signing off.